Holy City Center Radio. It is episode 191, and I am your host, Christian Sanger. Today is Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Happy Election Day? Question mark? Yes, it's Election Day. Will it be happy? Who knows? If your candidates win, then yes, it probably will be, but who the heck knows what's going to happen? No, this is not the big one for those confused. This isn't the presidential election, of course. That is a year away. But all sorts of important elections, including things like mayor of Charleston, mayor of North Charleston, and other important local elections. It varies depending on where you live. You may have a state Senate seat that you're voting on. You may not. You may have a referendum from Charleston County Parks on your ballot. But important to vote. I know some people kind of skip these, down ballot or what are deemed sometimes less important, although I highly disagree with that, elections. But don't. Go vote. Please go vote. It sounded weird when I just said that. It almost sounded like I said, don't go vote. What I meant to say is please don't skip voting and definitely go and vote. If you're unsure where your voting location is, you can go to chsvotes.gov or scvotes.gov. You could check out where your polling location is. You can also see a sample ballot. So if you're not sure what's going to be on there and you want to take a look before you head to the polls, you can do so. There's information out there about all the candidates, about any referendums and things like that. Just quick little Google search should help you out. We've talked previously on this podcast about some people running for office that have been endorsed or recommended by Moms for Liberty. You can go back and listen to that and avoid those candidates at all costs. Now, of course, you can vote for whoever you want to, but that is my opinion, and would prefer we didn't have any more of those types of folks in office. But regardless of who you vote for, if you disagree with me, that's perfectly okay. That's the whole thing we got here in this supposed democracy. So go and vote. It's important. And we're seeing over these last few years, especially how important these down ballot races can be. So don't skip out on it. If somehow, maybe your registration expired or you've moved and you forgot to update, and so you're unable to vote today, this is a great reminder to get that stuff taken care of before next year when we'll have the presidential election. Going to be another big one, of course. And obviously in a year, there'll be some other offices locally here as well that you'll be able to vote on. So certainly important to check, even if you already know, I haven't updated my registration or I'm not too sure. Go check it out now so you can be prepared in a year. In that same election vein, for those of you unsure how to get to the polls, maybe you don't have a car or whatever it may be, do know that CARTA, the Charleston Area Regional Transportation Authority, will be offering free rides today for those making trips to the voting polls. So it's a special service that just allows citizens to easily get there if they don't have a ride or if they just prefer to take the bus. To receive the free ride, if you're riding it as normal, the fares are what they always are. But if you are doing it specifically to go to a voting location, just let the driver know that you are going to a polling location, which when you're going to, they'll ensure that you get off at that location and you will not be charged a fare. And last little tidbit of information, the polls are open until 7 p.m. So if you're saying, Christian, I'm at work, I'm not going to be able to get to the polls, you have until 7 p.m. And they open this morning at 7 a.m. So you definitely have the opportunity, unless you work crazy hours. And if you do, I'm really sorry to hear that. But do your best to get out there and vote. Again, it's super important. I will have the election results, not every single one, of course, but some of these higher profile races on the next podcast. But in that, we got a weird schedule this week. You were expecting this episode on Monday. I normally do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but this is a crazy week for me with some events and some behind the scenes stuff going on with the website, that the schedule this week's going to be all over the place. So I'm not certain when that next episode will come out. It will be at some point this week. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow on Wednesday as normal, or maybe Thursday or Friday, or both. Who knows? But the best way to make sure you don't miss any podcasts is just to subscribe to it. So that way, when there's any kind of weird weeks like this one is for me, you're not missing the episode because, you go and look on the typical day and it's not there. So be sure to subscribe because I will definitely be recapping some of those bigger races. For instance, who's going to be the new mayor of North Charleston? Mayor Subney was not running for re-election, so there will be a new mayor of that city. And for Charleston, will John Tecklenburg get his last run here as mayor? He has said this was going to be the last time he was going to run for re-election. So will he get that one last term, or will we have a new mayor of the city of Charleston? We'll see what happens, and I'll definitely update you all on the next podcast. But for now, let's get into the latest news. If you were on the Ravenel Bridge on Monday, you might have seen something a little bizarre and probably a little scary at the same time. Thankfully, I'll say right at the top, no one was injured. I found out from a text message from a friend who was driving on the Ravenel Bridge. They said, so I'm on the bridge and I just saw a car driving in the pedestrian lane. Yes, that is correct. Needless to say, I was a little scared. I was hoping no one was hurt, whether, it was intentional or not. You just never know with these things, these days. But thankfully, it was a mistake and no one was injured. So what ended up happening was an elderly couple received a citation on Monday morning after they mistakenly drove onto the Ravenel Bridge's pedestrian lane. Officials with the Charleston Police Department said the couple became confused as they were traveling toward the bridge on East Bay Street. And instead of going up the vehicle ramp, they somehow turned onto the pedestrian lane instead. The couple drove slowly through the pedestrian lane toward Mount Pleasant, and once they hit that side, they were met by law enforcement who issued them a traffic citation. Authorities said no pedestrians or bicyclists were hurt, so again, good news there. It could have been a lot worse. I saw a couple videos. One was from someone in a car. Another was someone who was actually on the pedestrian bridge as the car was coming towards them. And yes, they were driving very slowly. It wasn't reckless. They made a mistake, but still a little scary to hear that and see the video. It's a little shocking to see a car making its way across the bridge in the pedestrian lane. But yeah, certainly a wild story. And again, we can kind of chuckle about it now because thankfully no one was hurt. Everything's okay. But it was certainly shocking to get that text message from my friend. Definitely a bit of a bummer for me and many others in the Charleston area. Brown's Court Bakery, which is located on the peninsula, this past weekend announced on social media that after 11 years of serving the Charleston community, they will soon be closing. Their last day of business will be on November 17th. You can still visit the bakery before they close at their address, 199 St. Philip Street. As I said, a bit of a bummer. I used to go there somewhat frequently. I haven't gotten out there as much as I wish I could, but I should make a return trip before they close. They always had really good pastries. And 11 years ago when they opened, they had some things that you couldn't necessarily find in Charleston, or at least there wasn't a lot of places to find certain items. That's changed a little bit as more bakeries and restaurants and things have opened, but regardless, they still made amazing food, even if you were able to get some of those items at other places through the years. I also enjoyed their coffee. They had normal everything from espresso to iced coffee, hot coffee, lattes, you name it. It was just a really cool little spot. It's a bummer that it's closing. I enjoyed going there and always enjoyed the food and coffee that they had. They had like this sriracha croissant. I'm sure they still make it. That was really, really tasty. I love that. They would have cookies and desserts and things too. And they would do those king cakes, during Mardi Gras celebrations. They would be one of the few places in town that would make those as well. And so sad to see them go. 11 years is a great run. A lot of businesses don't make it that long. And the owner, according to the city paper, the closing is from burnout. It's not, rising costs or can't afford a rent or, the types of things you hear from some other closures. This was just, hey, it was time to call it a day. So sad to see them go. Again, you have until November 17th before they close. By the time I finish this sentence, this event may be sold out. But I'm going to tell you about it anyway in case it is not. Skate the Stadium, you may remember this. This is one of the area's newest and most popular holiday events. At least it was in its initial year last year. It's coming back for a second season at Credit One Stadium on Daniel Island. For those who don't remember, Skate the Stadium basically transforms the tennis stadium into what they call a winter wonderland, where they'll have a custom built synthetic ice rink on the court, so you can go skate. They also, all around the venue, they'll have fire pits, a bunch of holiday decor and lights, of course. There's concessions, so all sorts of food and drinks, including things like hot chocolate and s'mores kits if you want to make s'mores by one of the fires. And then on select nights, they have, different themed events or, contests and things like that. All the details are in the link in the show notes. Skating tickets sold out last year in just 2 days. So organizers are obviously expecting a similar demand this year, especially because tickets are not too bad. They're just $10 per person. It includes the skate rental and a 45-minute skating session. So again, pretty good price to include all that. Plus, obviously, when you're done skating, you can go around and enjoy whatever else may be going on in the venue. Children 13 and under must be accompanied by an adult, so keep that in mind. And to purchase tickets, again, it's through Credit One Stadium's website. The link is in the show notes to my website, and then you can click on over to theirs. But like I said, it may be sold out, so I apologize if it is by the time you hear this and get on over to their website, but it might not be. So go scoop up some tickets before they do sell out. And lastly, Charleston is becoming the home of champions. The Charleston River Dogs, of course, have won 3 straight championships in their league over in minor league baseball, the Carolina League they play in. And now the Charleston Battery are adding to that, although they have one more game to go. However, they are champions of the Eastern Conference of the USL. The Battery punched their ticket to the USL final with a 2-1 victory over Louisville City FC in the USL Championship Eastern Conference final. It was at Patriots Point on Saturday, and it was sold out, so congrats to them, Eastern Conference champs, and hopefully they can become league champs here shortly. So the scoring by the Battery started with an early goal from Arturo Rodriguez. That set the tone for the night, of course, and although the opponents ended up tallying 1 goal, the Battery's own Augie Williams was able to net one. That proved to be the difference in that 2-1 victory. And of course, as I mentioned, they now move on to the USL Championship final for the first time since 2012. So it's been 11 years since they've tried to win a championship. So excited for them. And what's even more exciting is you can see them play live at Patriots Point. That's right. The championship will be held on Sunday, November 12th at 7 p.m. at Patriots Point. They will be taking on the Western Conference champions, Phoenix Rising FC. So again, championship game, November 12th at 7 p.m. You can get tickets on the Charleston Battery's website. I would imagine this game will sell out just like the Eastern Conference final game did, so don't wait on tickets if you're thinking about going. Should be a lot of fun regardless, but let's hope the Battery come home with a championship, and that'll make title number 2 for our teams here in the Charleston area. That'll be quite exciting, but regardless, it's been an incredible season for the Battery, and they've already won their side of the conference or of the league, their conference championship. So that's an accomplishment no matter what. But business is not quite done yet. So good luck to them. Again, Sunday, November 12th. Get those tickets and cheer on the Battery. That'll do it for this edition of Holy City Center Radio. I've got a busy week with concerts and a little bit of traveling, not too far, but I'll update you though about all that stuff on later podcasts. But that's why one of the reasons why this week is a little funky with the schedule. So I don't know exactly when the next show will be. Please subscribe. That way you won't miss it. Again, get out there and vote. You have until 7 p.m. tonight if you're listening to this on Tuesday when the episode was released. And I'll be back to tell you about some of those election results. Thank you to Lindsay Marie Collins with LMC Sound System for producing this episode. And also a big thank you to Tyler Boone, whose music you hear in each and every show. Thank you to all of you for listening. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, as I've said several times, subscribe to the podcast, but also like it, rate it, review it, whatever you can do on the streaming platform you're listening on, please do so. It helps out a lot. And you can also go that extra mile if you want to by going to patreon.com/holycitycenter, where you can sign up for a support tier, or you can go to holycitycenter.com/shop, where you can pick up some merch. I will talk to you again shortly, so just keep an eye on your podcast feed. I can't wait to come back and update you all on the election night results and whatever else is going on in town. Until I talk to you, though, good night and good luck.